I'm very pleased to report that tonight you're going to deal with the fun until you may not pay for sex. I wish that our case was funnier, but unfortunately we'll rather be about horrific forms of abuse. So, I've recently been informed that this is a policy that's been adopted in the United Kingdom. It's also a policy that's been adopted in Iceland. And the reason why this country is, among many others in all parts of the world, have adopted this policy is because prostitution is demeaning to women in general and is abusive to prostitutes in particular. So I'm going to bring two arguments in this speech. Firstly, I'm going to tell you why the existence of legal prostitution perpetuates abuse for many women and its abuse of government can prevent if we make prostitution illegal. And secondly, I'm going to tell you why this leads to broader harms to demean women and encourage sexism in broader society. So, first of all, harms to the individual prostitute. So, I'm just going to start with a discussion of who we think prostitutes are and how it is that different groups of prostitutes are actually going to be held by this debate. So we agree that under the status quo, where there is legal prostitution, there are some prostitutes who do have many choices available to them, who are engaging in prostitution as a personal choice. But we're really happy not to care about that group of people, because they can very easily make different choices if prostitution becomes illegal. And for that reason, our case will focus on a different group of women who are subject to abuse and who cannot make different choices. And we think that it is true that in a world in which prostitution is legal, that those women do exist and do suffer very horrific kinds of abuse. Because there will always be men that want to exploit women for money and who want to get a thrill out of the power that they get over women. And there are a whole variety of ways in which they can achieve that goal. They can use violence and abuse upon these women, or the threat of violence and abuse. They can use emotional coercion. They can exploit the fact that these women might be drug addicted, or they might have a language barrier that prevents them from finding other avenues in society. Prostitutes are marginalised in a whole variety of ways. Some of them might have been trafficked from overseas, some of them might not be able to speak English, some of them might be distrustful of authorities, particularly given the stigma around prostitution that marginalises those people. That makes them likely to distrust authorities and not report the existence of that abuse so they can escape those circumstances. There are a whole range of really, really severe harms that occur to this group of people. What happens to them is essentially tantamount to rape, in the sense that they're forced to sell their bodies to strangers in return for money that they themselves might not actually receive. They suffer from perpetual abuse from their abusers, and they suffer the indignity of losing control of their body and their bodily autonomy. We're very happy to say that we want to do everything possible to protect women from those kinds of things. So why is it that our model, making prostitution and all kinds of prostitution illegal, is going to be better at dealing with this? So what we stand behind in the affirmative team is specifically putting in prison clients and pimps rather than prostitutes themselves, to encourage prostitutes to come forward. So why is that specific approach to criminalising prostitution is the best answer? The first and most important reason is because we reduce demand for prostitution. A world in which we make sure that clients are put in prison for engaging a prostitute and paying for sex is a world in which people are less likely to do that. Because obviously it is a rational choice to not do something that can get you put in prison, but more broadly because laws that the government put in place set norms that say that that is a bad thing for you to do. It encourages other people in society to shame men who do go out and engage in prostitutes, and it ensures that people are less likely to make that decision. In the same way that many more people use alcohol because it's legal, and many less people use marijuana because the fact that it's illegal is there's a stigma associated with it. The second reason why our model is better is because we put pimps in jail rather than allowing them to remain at large, because we provide the easiest possible way to ensure that women and the people who abuse those women are protected by the state. Thirdly, because we make it as easy as possible to make sure you can't disguise your prostitution service and you can't disguise the fact that you're a pimp. Because under the status quo, it's really easy for legal brothels to engage in illegal and abusive activities, but to pass that off as being legal and legitimate. It is much harder to pretend that your brothel doesn't exist. It is much harder to hide it completely from authorities. We make it as easy as possible to identify the existence of abusive and illegal brothels, because any brothel is considered illegal under our model. We think that it is really hard to enforce under the status quo any laws that will protect women from the kind of abuse we've identified, because there will always be a demand from clients for things like having sex without a condom, or for demanding a specific prostitute that ensures that that individual woman doesn't have control over who her clients are, and therefore doesn't have control over her body. We think that that will always occur. We think it's much easier to hide from authorities when you can pretend that you have a legal brothel when actually you're engaging in illegal activities on the side. So we think that the best approach is to make it as clear as possible that the very existence of a brothel leads to a likelihood of abuse, so we should just shut down all brothels to remove any grey area that would make it difficult to enforce those laws. So the second argument that I'm going to show you today is the broader harms that this has to women. Because we think prostitution presents a range of images that are demeaning to women. It allows a numerical value to be placed on their bodies, it obviates their consent, it creates sexual circumstances that are entirely about providing pleasure to men, and it reinforces male entitlement. When those kinds of images and those kinds of messages are disseminated throughout society, it means that it shapes the attitudes of all people in society, in the same way that advertising is capable of disseminating images and messages and shaping our attitudes around products. In this way, the existence of prostitution and the existence of those messages and of those images that it creates circumstances where people are more likely to have demeaning attitudes towards women, are more likely to think that it is okay to have a sense of sexual entitlement about women, are more comfortable silencing women when they see them purely as sexual objects rather than human beings with real thoughts and feelings. The best way to ensure that all women are protected from abuse and demeaning conduct is to make sure that all prostitution is shut down by the state. That's why we're really happy to support this model.